Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Ralph and today's video blog is all about the Korg Volca synthesizers. I'm talking to Todd Smith. Todd is an avid user of the Volcas and he is also an expert how to handle them. I will be asking him questions such as Midi and Volcas, how to synchronize Volcas, what kind of music can you play with the Volcas, and how he is using these Volca machines for his own music and production. So, if you are considering to get a Volca for yourself, this video is a must-see. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is Ralph and today I'm yet again together with Todd Smith. Todd Smith has established himself as a Korg Volca expert over the short period of 3 months. And with fame and success, there comes responsibility. So I'm very glad that Todd is here today to share some of his knowledge and expertise with us today. So, Todd, how are you doing?
Amazing. How about you, bud?
Not too bad. Todd and I did an interview together, I think 2 weeks ago. I will put the link to that interview into the description box of this video. And today we will just talk about the Korg Volca line. As I said, Todd is an expert. And the first question I have for Todd is, Todd, please explain what is the Korg Volca line and what are the characteristics of the individual models, such as the Volca keys, the Volca bass, the Volca sample, and the Volca beats. And probably you also want to say something about the upcoming Volca FM. Take it away.
It sounds great. Sounds great. Well, the Korg Volca series is obviously huge to me in my music production and what I do. They're really amazingly priced units. We're starting at around 150 American for brand new, used obviously cheaper. As you said, there's 4 models out now, a 5th one. So they cover a great range of possibilities sound-wise and music creation-wise. They're really great for beginners because of the price, and they're good enough for people with established gear to jump into too. I mean, the characteristics that they bring out are really old school musicians crave those too. So they for the price they created these awesome package for an awesome price. I mean, I gotta say thank you to Korg for that. And then individually,
can I jump in there?
Yep.
I wanted to tell the viewers, neither Todd nor me are being paid by Korg or any music store to promote these machines. So we are just doing this. This is our personal opinion. I just wanted to throw it in there. Okay. Todd, sorry for interrupting you, but I think this was important. So please go ahead and point out some of the characteristics. Volca keys, bass, sample, and beats. Yeah, sorry for stepping on you, but I think it's important.
Yeah, no problem. No problem at all. And yeah, and the individual characteristics of them, they step down to out the box. They kind of, the names kind of define themselves. The keys is kind of set up like a old school poly mode analog keyboard with a really nice sequencer that makes it really easy to stack chords or create melodic progressions without, once you get used to it, without even thinking. It really just, it creates itself. And so, and then between, you have the poly mode, you have unison, you have octave, you have fifths mode, you have what is it, ring, poly ring, unison ring mode. So you have a lot of different modes from those old school keys, and it also comes with an old school, really gritty, kind of almost bit crushing sounding delay, which is really cool. Some people say it sounds dirty, which it does have a kind of a, an old school kind of, I would say, hiss-ish to it. It's not the cleanest delay, but there's times where it fits into the song very well. And when you don't have anything else, it can create some really cool stuff. Then you have the bass, which is by itself built more kind of with the slide, to replicate a 303 style sequencer. And alone, it does sound, it pretty much can really only do bass and little modulations great by itself, but with effects you can really bring amazing things out of it. And kind of sitting back on the keys, where the keys alone can kind of do bass and high end right out of the box. So yeah, this is all, so it's really kind of cool how they've kind of have different modulations with different things, where once you add effects on the bass, you can start to do high end and low end with it, and it just gets really nuts. So then and then once you go on the beats, it's kind of just straight up. It's what I call a one trick pony that rides really, really hard. You know, it's an old school, 808 type kick, drums and beat. You can't really go much past that one kit, but it does that one kit really, really well. The biggest complaint, again, you hear on that end of the machine from users is the snare. I again have really encountered no issues using the snare. Some people go up to modding it. Some users go all the way to the point of modding the snare. So the Beats has a little bit of bad hype because of the snare, but again, I use it unmodded, which is a little bit of EQ, and I think it sounds great. And in that machine itself has its own built-in delay, which is a stutter type delay, which can do amazing on the fly delay effects built into the machine. So as standalone units, they're amazing, those three. The sample I don't own, but but I get the general idea of it. It's an old school type sampler that can't really do big phase samples. It can only do almost hit style samples. You can't do really long samples, so it's almost built more like a drum machine or something of that nature. But it seems really in depth, and just like the next expansion piece that they needed beyond what I have. And then of course, like you were saying, the next one that everyone is talking about, the FM, is gonna kind of fill in the next void, because that's the keys, the bass, they got the drums, they got the sample, they're covering all their bases. And then now they're bringing the FM, which is gonna cover all your DX sounds, and you're gonna be able to import from all those classic FM synths straight off the internet. So it's going to be they're really doing an amazing job with the line when it comes to offering a good route for you to build on as a musician at a really low price, with this range. Mm-hmm.
Okay, to recap, you are using the Volca keys, the Volca bass, and the Volca beats. Can you just say again which of these machines has a built-in delay or other effect?
Oh, effects, yes. The only two that have built-in effects are the keys and the beats. Again, the keys has they're both delays. They respond differently. I would say the keys is kind of more of an old school space delay, kind of dirty, kind of almost like what you hear on the monotron delay. Has a little bit of feedback to it when you get into it, but it's really spacey and stuff like that. Where the beats is more of a stuttery. It's not even. They don't even classify it as a delay. The way Korg classifies it is as a repeater. It repeats notes, but it creates these delay. So the repeater creates delay type effects. So you can create which is really good for rhythmic type stuff. Mm-hmm.
Okay, then why have you chosen these three Volcas for your music production? What are you using them for most of the time? And maybe you can let us know a little bit about your approach to music, about how you come up with certain songs and tracks using these three Volcas. Anything to share, Todd?
Oh, for sure, definitely. I mean, they're amazing devices. Like I said, what I kind of described to you just now is I tried to describe as much as possible when you get them out of the box. Once you add effects to them, it's great. They become infinite in my eyes because, like I said, the bass sounds good with bass with no effects, but once you start adding effects, it sounds glorious and beautiful when the high ends and mids and lows. So they start to become an open palette for many ideas, and I can really just kind of start on a piece, create something that I like. I when I record, I really don't like to sit and think too much about the sequence. I like to grab a piece, play around with some effects, play around with the noise until I start playing something on the keyboard that sounds that I like, and then I'll just start playing until I play something I like, and then I hit the record button and I kind of just lay it down like that. So these Korgs allow me to really kind of just twiddle around with different analog sounds, find one that I like, and then instantly find the style of sequencer that mode, because they each have different sequencer modes. Like I said, that kind of cater to different sequencing styles. So I kind of just find into what I want, and it enables me to just be completely open with my music, which is really great. Because a lot of times I was stuck on DAW for a while, and I've had some old school hardware. I had a Korg back in the day, and a Roland piece, and XP50 and stuff like that. And I had to do a lot of thinking musically to get what I was in my head and what I was playing down back at me in the speakers. Like, it took a lot of thinking with these Korgs and the sequencers they got going in them. I mean, the only limitation is their time. They're very limited, 16 step. So the Korg keys, there's one difference, is you can extend the sequencer. It can go pretty much 4 times the length of a 16-step sequencer. So that is interesting. It allows you to create some longer variations. But other than the 16-step sequencer, they just allow me to take my ideas, what I play, and put them directly in the box with almost zero thinking. And I think that is the strong point for why I've fallen in love with them, is the lack of needing to just think on their creation process,
Okay, to clarify, you are connecting an external USB keyboard to your Volcas. Am I right?
Currently, in my current setup, yeah, I've kind of gone through phases of setups, but yes, currently. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you start improvising and you get the notes into the Volcas via that USB keyboard. So that's how you start out nowadays, playing with the Volcas. You're not working on the Volcas on these tiny keyboards. You're using your external MIDI keyboard, right?
No, I only worked on those little keyboards my first couple jams. Then I moved on to the micro Korg as my controller and started recording my notes to my micro Korg. Now I've upgraded to that big piece, and now I just use the micro Korg to play the micro Korg notes, and my big Alesis to control all my Volcas, my Volca key, my Volca bass, my Roland, and my so it controls everything else. So it's pretty cool.
Okay, that brings me to the next subject, syncing these devices. So let's start first without MIDI. What's the easiest way to sync the Volcas without MIDI?
Well, without MIDI, your only real option is the old school analog sync, which is your sync in, sync out. You can, like, I use that to sync it to my brute. I go from a sync out to a gate in to my brute, my micro brute, and it allows me to do an old school analog chain. So that's your only option, but it's a great option. It really works out great.
Okay, and then what's the best and easiest way to sync the Volcas using MIDI?
Oh, using MIDI, the best and easiest way to do it is if you already have, we're going to assume, since you're talking about MIDI, that you already have a MIDI unit working at sync in time as with how you want it to go. You just go from the last unit in your MIDI chain, from your MIDI out from your last unit to the MIDI in to your first Volca, and at that point your Volca will be in time with your entire MIDI unit. And then at that point you can use the old school sync in, sync out of your Volcas to connect the rest of the Volcas or all your other analog gear, and all that analog gear will be in time with your MIDI gear. So that's pretty cool.
Okay, and how do you control several Volcas independently via MIDI?
Oh, that's a good one too. That's kind of what I did my last jam with my big Alesis keyboard. Well, at that point you're almost using, if you want to use them almost as sound modules, and you would set individual MIDI channels on the Volcas for where you want, and then you'd have to get a MIDI splitter and split it either from your master keyboard to control all the Volcas. You need a master keyboard that has multiple MIDI channel splits to do it on one keyboard, kind of like with the Alesis that I use on my latest jam. I can have up to 3, that keyboard range can be split up into 3 different parts with 3 different MIDI channels, which allows me to play 3 different instruments on that keyboard range, which is really cool. So I can have my Korg bass on the bottom, I can have my Juno up top, and I could have like my keys in the middle. So so if you split from something like that with your MIDI splitter, you'd be able to control them all from like one different range. So it's pretty cool.
Okay, and are you using a computer program to send MIDI signals to the Volca?
Currently I'm not. I've been using the music programs more as a digital recorder, multi-track. I do it all on one take, multi-track. I have my drums as my clean, and then I have an instrument track, which is my wet. I'm kind of working with just 2 tracks right now, but hopefully that expands. I'm using it as a multi-track recorder. I've used it as a sequencer in the past. I didn't like Ableton, mainly because it's so involving. Again, thinking. I tend to like things that less thinking, less in front of you. I like the more things that just flow. And when it comes to sequencing from computer to hardware, I do it. And it's been a while since I've done it, and I will do it again. It's probably how I'm going to do a few songs for an album. But I like to use Renoise, actually, which is kind of a little underused DAW. But it's an old tracker-based DAW, and it's what I found when I use it. It's just less thinking than the other ones, for sure.
What's the name of that DAW? Renoise.
Renoise. Mm-hmm. It's a great. If you have never heard of it, definitely look it up. It's the cheapest of all DAWs out there. The price tag will make you laugh, but compared to the rest, and it's a monster when it comes to sequencing. It follows those old school Commodore 64 and Amiga style tracker based programs that went up and down rather than side to side. Like they went, it's like that. It uses the old school tracker idea, but it's just so fluid, and whenever I jump on it, it's like it's no thinking involved. My thoughts just translate into instant ideas, and that's like tend to where I tend to gravitate towards nowadays, you know.
Okay, let nothing get into the way between you and making music.
Yeah, for sure.
I think many viewers can relate to that. Anyway, okay, I just want to say Renoise. So to the viewers, look it up on the internet, and maybe you'll like it. So
it's a great one. Mm-hmm.
Another important thing is Todd has made many tutorials about the Volcas already. I will put the link to his tutorial playlist into the description box of this YouTube video. Yeah, here below. So Todd, then I would like to ask you, in your personal opinion, what are the key benefits for beginners and experienced users buying a Volca?
Well, I'll start off with the beginners. I would say that we'll start with the beginning aspect. The beginners aspect is the price that range. I would say. I mean, there's nothing in that price range that can really get you that type of results that quick. And on top of the immediate price range, that how cheap they are, is the expandability they have, and is incredible. And I think they have enough, even just as they are with no effects. The sounds are kind of classic enough that most people just kind of like it, even if it's not pushing crazy stuff out the box, because you don't really have a super lot of effects. You're a kid and you just get a Volquez under the tree and you plug in your headphones and you get this little mixer and thing. It's still gonna, I think there's enough instant gratification there that it's easy to fall in love with and start just building upon. And once you start building upon it, then that's when it gets incredible. So I think, yeah, the price tag has to be for the users just an instant win. For veterans, I would say the ability to sync with gear and the old school analog sync is great, because you're able to just tie right in, and the things like the bass, I mean, they fit in so perfect with and just the sound they recreate. I just fit in so perfect with that type of gear that it's almost like you're expanding your gear into like this next phase of generation of technology, because they really took old school ideas and gave them really current modern thinking that really no one has really done before. So you're kind of incorporating those little ideas into your setup, and the more ideas you have, which I think any artist can relate, the more that you have to draw from, and the more that's in front of you, the more possibilities you have. Like I try to, at this day and age, even if I don't use something, I try to put it aside, because one day I may be like, hey, I need this sound that thing can create, and if I sold it and I got rid of it because at the time I wasn't using it in my main setup, it wouldn't be there. And the Volcas definitely bring that aspect. I think you'll be touching it more than just leaving it in the corner, but this definitely brings something aspect into your setup at a really cheap price, that even if you're an experienced user, you got to look at $150 and be like, okay, that's nothing. So you're at the opposite end of a new user who's kind of looking at 150. It's like, oh, should I do this? Blah, blah. And then 150 is almost a no-brainer to somebody who has a huge room full of gear. So yeah, so it's good on both ends of the spectrum in that way, for sure.
Hey, Todd, cool, really. I think this interview could help some people who are still thinking about getting a Volca, or what can they do. Once again, Todd, I put the links to your YouTube channel and to your Volca tutorials into the description box of this video. And then I would like to stress again, neither Todd nor me are being paid by Korg or a music store to push this. This is just Todd's personal opinion, and in my opinion, I'm interested in the Volca line, adding it to some old vintage analog gear. Here you can see it behind me. Yeah, so Todd, I thank you very much for doing this. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Anytime. I enjoy it. It's great.
And we will talk again soon about other subjects. Yeah, so take care. I see you soon. Bye, buddy.
Later, bud.
All right, this is the end of today's video. I put the link to Todd's YouTube channel into the description box of this video. Make sure you check it out. If you enjoyed today's video, you may want to give us a thumbs up. It would be highly appreciated, and you may even consider sharing it with your friends. Before I say goodbye, I kindly ask you to check out some of my previous videos. You'll find the link somewhere around here. And if you like my work, you may consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. You'll find the link here below. I'm doing synthesizer tutorials, interviews with electronic musicians, and every now and then I'm also uploading some of my own music. So, thank you for watching. Have a good week. I see you next time. Until then, peace.